Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. How prepared are you, really? I mean, how ready are you? Not just prepared, but how ready are you? The more and more you and I, what we're doing of learning how things are, how bad they are, where this is all headed, I think it becomes more and more apparent that this isn't any kind of little short-term hiccup. Most likely not going to be anything like, 2007 or the Y2K or the dot-com bubble. It may even be worse than the, era during the Great Depression and before that with the Dust Bowl out west in the central United States. I think we're headed into something kind of rough. And everywhere we look, we see there's an obvious effort, an overt effort to make things worse. I talk about it on this channel all the time. I point out stuff to you, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of other great YouTube channels that do a great job of pointing out how bad it's going to be. I mean, the shortages, the fact that there's droughts, and the fact that there's shortages and drastic price increases of chemicals and fertilizers used in farming and parts and fuel and all this kind of stuff. And this is just the food that we're talking about. It's like we're on the verge of watching the world that we've all grown up in being somewhat normal, or at least stable to a certain extent. That while politics change and the morality starts to kind of crumble, there's still some stability there, and we're watching that drastically change right before our eyes. And I think more and more of us are realizing that this is a massive, major change in our world. Very much a collapse. We're watching society, we're watching our civilization kind of fall apart. And many of us believe, or at least are leaning towards the possibility of this being the end times that are talked about in the Bible. And it's possible, but that may be decades or centuries or even millennia away from us. So either way, we see the world rapidly changing around us. And whether or not it's just happening because it's just that time and that's a cyclical change and that's what civilizations do, or because that there's a small group of very powerful people that are bringing it down so that they can raise up some new technocracy. Either way, it doesn't matter. And I've been saying that. I mean, we can sit here and we can debate and we can get into all the little details of whether or not it's one thing or the other. The fact is it's happening. And the fact is that in every possible way we look at it, it looks like it's going to be pretty devastating. And so my question again is just how ready are you? What is your state of readiness? I've mentioned on here before, and I didn't come up with this, another YouTube channel that spoke at our last meeting here locally. He talked about this, that we've been in a state of preparedness as those that prepare for months or even years. Now we should be in a state of readiness. And so how ready are you for all this? I would say that most of us, when we really dig into ourselves, we probably are saying, we're not ready. We're not quite there yet. I need just a little bit more time. I got more projects to do. I need to stock up on some more things. I just don't have the money to just dump into all the things that I need right now. And I think that's normal. Even for those of us that may be a little bit ahead of you, we still aren't quite at the place that we want to be, or that we had hoped to be before this happened. One of the things that I've talked about on here, I believe as long as I have been making these videos, is while all these things, physical, tangible things are important, the place that you're at, the land that you have, that's important, books, skills, that's all important. Really the most important thing next to your spiritual walk is what's up in here, and how you view the world, and how you view your own survivability, the determination that you have, that mental preparedness, that warrior mindset that you have. That's really going to be the most important thing. Because while we may not experience some kind of Mad Max Book of Eli, complete desolation of everything, we could certainly experience a world where things are just so expensive we can't afford them, that supplies are so short that we can't find them, and that the only way to get the health care, to get the food, and to get the medicine, and all the other things that we're used to, is to bow down and, like Samuel Adams once said, kiss the hands that feed you, and comply with their big brother Mark, that will control your every aspect. You know, the one ring to rule them all, and the big eye that controls it, that kind of thing. Either way, most of us, that's just not acceptable, and it's not something that we want to become vulnerable to. And so that's why we do what we do, and that's why I push being as self-sufficient as possible. That really, in my opinion, that is the one thing that the people that are ruling, the people that are making these decisions, the people that are doing all this, that they hate, and that they hope that there's not that many people that are in that position. And that position is being self-sufficient. The less you need them, the less power that they have over you. They know that. They know that if you're really self-sufficient and you don't need to run to their banks and to their hospitals and to their grocery stores and to their gas stations and to all their supply chains and all their protection, then there's no use for them in your life. And that is something that we have strived very, very hard to do, especially since we moved to this property, is to put in place things that make us as self-sufficient as possible. Whether we use them now or not, or whether they're fully implemented, we have plans that we've put in place that we hope will make us much, much less dependent, and to the point that we really don't need them at all. The reality is we don't. And the reality is that we have bought this lie that we cannot exist without their things, without their comfort, without their security. We've bought that lie. You know, once upon a time, the people that lived on this continent were known around the world for their rugged individualism. They were known because they didn't need a helping hand, that they didn't need a safety net. They went off into these woods and to places further west from here, and they carved out a living out of nothing, with no one's help, no supply chain, no safety net, no security, nothing. And it was tough, it was hard, but they did it. And while many didn't make it, a whole lot more did. And we have to remember that while we may feel like we are very far removed from that world and those people, we're not really. It's not that far away in history. And we can bring that back again. Even though we may not have to live quite as rugged and as rough as they once did, the mentality is what we should focus on. We should focus on the fact that we can survive no matter what. And that we have that capability, because it's been done before. We're not reinventing the wheel, becoming self-sufficient. We're not reinventing the wheel by developing communities, by going back to natural ways of feeding our families, and natural ways to do a lot of things. This isn't something new. I mean, it's already been done before. We just have to relearn those things. And we have the advantage that we do have modern things that we can, add to that does make it easier. Modern tools, modern techniques, books, and information that our ancestors did not have at all. And so we do have an advantage, and I believe because of those advantages, that for the people out there that have the true willpower to survive, they can. Today, my family was invited over to a neighbor and a friend's house, and we had a little lunch with them, and we talked about a lot of the stuff that's going on. We talked about our gardens and shared experiences and advice, and continued a conversation that we've been having with them on what are we going to do as families to help each other and to work together when things get bad. These are conversations that need to be had, folks. You have to start doing it. And I understand that not every one of you have people around you that you can have these conversations with. And for those of you that you just absolutely can't find them, I feel for you. And it's going to be harder for you, but you can still make it. Pioneers 150 years ago, not every one of them had people around them. Some of them went off on their own. And while it was harder for them, many of them survived. So just because you're on your own doesn't mean that you're not going to make it. I'm just saying if you have others around you, it's going to be a little bit easier. We have to take this serious. Every day, between the information that I look at myself and the information that's sent to me by many of you good folks, I see a reoccurring theme that it's probably a lot worse than what any of us really think that it is. And I'm taking in consideration that many of you are like myself, that you're very well educated on what's going on. And I still come to the conclusion, it's probably worse than what I think. When we see a bigger and bigger picture, and I try to look at the bigger picture, and I try to put in, bring in all the different factors of what's going on and how it's going to affect us. And in every different direction, it's always just bad news. And a lot of you complain that, I've become too doomsday on here. And it's really tough not to, because things aren't good, And I feel more and more that I have an obligation because, I've been given this platform. I don't know why people even care to listen to me. But I feel that I have a duty, a responsibility, because I have this platform to try to inform people and wake them up. And certainly educate people and teach people the things that I know and pass on little tips and tricks and stuff that I know. And I try to do that in between all the other stuff. But I'm certainly not doing it to try to scare people, maybe push people, maybe wake people up, because I think things are quite rough in just every aspect. And I think one of the things that worries a lot of you folks, including myself, maybe more than anything right now, is food. The very, very real possibility that food could become in such short supply and could become so expensive that many more Americans are going to have to make the decision whether to buy groceries or to pay their rent or their mortgage or to keep the electricity on in their house. There are a few people in this country that have to make that decision on a regular basis, but I think a whole lot more are going to have to. And I think that it's going to get to the point that we're going to see a lot of violence. We're going to see a lot of real hunger. And when it starts to get really bad, that's where we're going to see government come in with their grand plan for resetting, that things have gotten so bad, they're awful, but we have a plan. Just guess what? We've been working on this plan for a while. We've been implementing it. And it's so funny and such a coincidence that all of these things that we began implementing in the last 2 years because of a health crisis just happen to work real well now that we're running out of food and no one can afford what exists. And too many people are going to buy that. And a lot of us just are really worried about that. And that's why we're frantically stocking up, and we're learning everything that we can, and we're just absorbing it. And I think that's a good thing, I don't mean that becoming so obsessed with it that we have nothing else going on in our life is a good thing, but I think making it a very serious priority in our life is a good thing. We have to have food to eat, folks. We have to, we have to have water to drink. We have to have things to heal our bodies and to make ourselves healthy. We have to have a good place to live so that we can do these things and also provide a pretty decent security for ourselves. And we have to get serious about it. I will continue making the videos that I've been making, informing you on what's going on. But I do plan on trying to incorporate more and more videos on kind of giving you the aids, the tools, the knowledge to do these things. I'm working on a video, hopefully in just a few days, of a close personal friend of ours that's also possibly one of the most knowledgeable herbalists and holistic, natural living type people that I know. She's extremely knowledgeable, and she's agreed to do a video with me. And so I look forward to bringing that one to you also. And hopefully many more in the future on other various subjects. But folks, don't get caught off guard. I mean, don't live in panic and fear. Most certainly don't do that. I think a healthy level of fear is good. We don't want to become so lackadaisical that we just don't take it serious, and we just, this is just another one of those hyping things that means nothing. I think we need to be serious. And a healthy level of fear is good for us because it helps keep us on our toes. It helps keeps us focused, and the motivation to continue on this journey of self-sufficiency, of independence, of hardening ourselves ready for battle. And so I think that's all good. And I want to continue to encourage you to do those things. And as much as I can help, I will. And there are many others out there that are doing the same kind of thing. And I hope that you're, gaining knowledge and insight from all of those too. I certainly am not the hold the keys to all that. I feel like I'm just one more piece of the puzzle of helping you get a little bit more prepared. But folks, I think the stuff that's going on is quite real. And I think the severity of all this is quite real. We need to take it serious, and we need to buckle down and do everything that we can to get ourselves more prepared. In the end, if we're wrong, what have we lost? I don't know. We've stocked up and created ourselves a good supply of things, and we've become more self-sufficient at a faster pace than what we thought we could. I really don't see any negatives in it. So folks, continue doing what you're doing. You're not alone out there. There are many, many, many of you, including my own family, that are doing the same thing. And we are every day getting ourselves a little bit more ready for what's headed. It's not even headed at us. It's already happened. And we're in that curve there's still parts of it that's normal, but it's all going to start catching up to us soon. So folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and most especially spiritually. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video.